And as we reported earlier in the show, Governor Mikey Sherrill held a press conference today to announce the lawsuit brought by New Jersey and New York against the Trump administration over its freezing funds for the Gateway Tunnel project. Now, leading that lawsuit is New Jersey's acting Attorney General Jen Davenport, who joins us now in the studio. So great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Rana.
Why has the state, together with New York, brought this lawsuit?
So as you said, there's the freezing of billions of dollars of federal funds for this tunnel project, and we argue and allege that it was done unlawfully. And it's really important to make sure that this project, the most critical infrastructure project in our country, continues to go forward. So we're standing up for the residents to say, we need this money, we need to keep this going, and the reasons why they've said that it's happening are just pretextual. It's really about politics, and we need to have this project go forward.
What are the harms that New Jersey in particular is facing with the freezing of these funds?
So we learned last week that the funds cannot continue past this Friday, 2 days from now. After February 6th, work has to stop. There's no more money to keep it going.
The funds ran dry.
The funds will run dry Friday. So what that means is up to 1,000 workers by Friday, thousands more if it continues to be unfunded. And beyond that, we have active sites that if this work doesn't continue, we have active construction sites that we have to make sure that we protect for public safety and public health to make sure those are protected. And if they're not active construction sites because the money's not there, then we have to do that without anything moving forward. And that's a real concern for us.
We've reported quite a bit on what it would cost, not just the fact that we're losing the funds, that the funds have been frozen, but what it would cost if the project comes to a halt and then has to restart. Do you have a sense of what that could cost New Jersey?
I don't have the exact numbers, no, but we're talking about millions of dollars that have gone in already to keep this active, and it's just going to compound if we have to put even more in for it not happening, as well as the fact that what it's going to cost to just keep it as just an inactive construction site.
Right, you'd have to go back out to bid to these construction companies, right, these development companies. Why file a separate lawsuit? Because we reported and we know that the Gateway Development Corporation filed its own lawsuit. Why file this second suit?
Because there's harm to Gateway, of course, and they filed that. They had a contract with the federal government, and they filed that contractual claim. New Jersey and New York didn't have a contract, but that doesn't mean we weren't harmed, and that we aren't going to be harmed, and aren't continuing to be harmed here. So our claims are different because it's not contractual, but the harms for us, again, are the thousands, the jobs that are lost, the money that is being spent and will continue to be spent, and what will happen for us for public health, public safety if this doesn't go forward.
You mentioned that you believe this is political. The Trump administration says it's investigating the state's DEI policies when going out to bid on these projects. You dispute that?
So we've had different reasons over time as to why the funding is no longer there. And that's what we're saying is there's rules that the government has to follow, the Administrative Procedure Act. And A, they didn't follow their own rules, and B, when they gave reasons, those were unlawful, and what they did was unlawful. So yes, we do dispute that. The reasons that were given at first, then this shifted and changed over time, and what we would argue is any of them are pretextual, because we've heard exactly what the president said out of his own mouth, that it is up to him, and he said that Democrats are foolish, and those are the reasons that we allege as to why this is really happening.
And again, those funds are congressionally appropriated already.
The funds were there, and the work was continuing. It was only back in the fall when that stopped to say the funds are no longer going to be allowed to go forward.
You are asking for immediate relief. This was filed in the Southern District of New York. How quickly do you believe you can get this before a judge?
So a judge has already been assigned. We sued yesterday, and what we're asking for is by Friday, we're asking the court for a temporary restraining order to say, for 14 days, can you please let this funding continue? Allow the funding to be reinstated so that we can have the work continue. And then beyond that, we're asking for other preliminary relief to have it continue throughout the pendency of the case.
If this were to be ruled on by Friday, does the work continue? Does the project continue as is? We already know that portions of it have slowed down.
So So on Friday, what we're asking for the court to do is, if the court were to say on Friday, we're going to take a look at what you filed already, and for 14 days, yes, you can continue this work, we would have the funds then to be able to continue that if the court were to order it.
Beyond that 14 days, how quickly do you believe the state could see relief?
I don't have an immediate answer. That is up to the court, but we're going to keep pressing forward to make sure that we get this and really mitigate the harm to New Jersey and New York.
Of course, you were waiting for a confirmation, but I'm just curious, how do you see your role in these types of cases in terms of taking on the Trump administration?
So when I take a look at what's most important as an acting attorney general, and then if I'm fortunate enough to be confirmed the Attorney General of the state, is to protect the state of New Jersey. And public safety is the most important thing that the acting Attorney General or the Attorney General can do. And when I take a look at what's happening to our residents, and the threat coming from Washington or otherwise, that's an important piece of it. And by that, I mean, when there are attacks, I think of a couple of things. And this is true whether it's federal, coming from the federal government, corporate wrongdoers, or anything criminal. You think about, was something unlawful? Did it happen? Is it unlawful? And second, is it harming New Jersey? And those are the two factors that guide me. So in this case, is it unlawful? We allege yes. Is it harming the residents of New Jersey? Yes. So those are going to be the two factors that drive us forward.
All right, well, we're going to be watching to see how this plays out in the courts. Acting Attorney General Jennifer Davenport, thank you so much for coming into the studio.
Thank you, Joanna. Good to be here.